Anyone who took Psychology 101 in college, or frankly has been to any conference ever in the history of conferences, probably recognizes what you see on my screen right here. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Essentially, what Maslow did was he created this hierarchy to articulate that if our very basic needs are not met, that we are not going to be able to get to those higher level needs that might enhance our experience, make our life better. So he started off with basic physiological needs like air, food, water, sleep, sex. If we don't have those needs being met, well, then we probably aren't going to be worrying about our safety needs or our belongingness and love needs or our esteem needs or our self-actualization needs or anything like that. Listen, I'm not going to review Maslow in depth. Most of you have probably heard it before, but the reason I bring this up is that I took Maslow and I translated it to an employee engagement hierarchy, the things that employees in businesses need to be able to show up, be motivated, and do their best work. And that's what we're going to talk about, is going from this basic psychological model of Maslow to how we can serve the needs of our employees during this time of great transition, great stress. A lot of people are moving to working remotely who have never worked remotely in their lives. It's going to cause a lot of disruption for a little bit, and I'm going to explain why that is. But first, I do just want to check in, and let's see, I'll bring this onto my screen right here. Listen, I am going to be doing a lot of things to really try to help transition the workforce well to this new virtual model over the next couple months. Make sure you go and visit zenworkplace.com for more information, and you'll see this bright yellow box on the screen because I don't like to be subtle about these things. It outlines some of the things that I'm going to be doing for managers, for leaders, for businesses, things like that. The one I want to bring your particular attention to right now is that I'm going to be giving a free webinar on Wednesday, March 18th, specifically for people who are looking for information about how to manage their team virtually. What do you need to know during this transition? This is a complete freebie. It's not like a sales thing. I'm going to give you a lot of great information to help you make this transition well. Now, if you happen to watch this video after this webinar has already aired, don't worry, head over to zenworkplace.com. I'm going to make sure that an on-demand recording is available right on the homepage, so you're still going to be able to access it. But if you're watching this before you want to catch the live show, make sure you head over to zenworkplace.com, click this register now button. It's going to take you to a landing page. It's going to tell you all about it. That's going to be really great. Other things that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually be opening up kind of a support group. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm going to have more information on the webinar tomorrow. It's going to be kind of a support group for managers who are looking for ongoing guidance and coaching as they transition their team to working virtually for at least the next couple of months. I also am going to be revamping my manager mastery training program to specifically focus on how you adapt the techniques in it to virtual teams. I've opened up a few coaching slots for one-on-one coaching with executives and leaders who are looking for a little bit more of a, one-on-one time to manage some of the issues that they're facing. And just so you know, all of the programs that I traditionally do in person as trainings, workshops, keynotes, retreats, that sort of thing, I am going to be taking those online. A lot of them are already available to be done online already. And if you don't have a lot of experience with this, I have the technology. I've got you covered. This is not a time to stop supporting your team. I cannot emphasize this enough. I know this seems crazy. I know that we don't really know what's going to happen. This is a new frontier for all of us. But the very last thing you want to do is leave your team hanging in the balance. I promise you, if you serve your team well during this time of upheaval and change and stress and the unknown, they are going to be there for you when this is all over. And this is going to end someday, folks. The coronavirus crazy is going to end someday. We're going to figure this out. And you don't, in the process, want to completely alienate your team when the going gets really tough, okay? So I'm going to be talking a lot more about that in my webinar, and you can visit zenworkplace.com if you want more information on any of these things. But let's get back to the hierarchy, because listen, this is going to really explain why your employees are probably freaking out right now, and this is particularly true if these are employees who do not have a whole heck of a lot of experience with working virtually. For a lot of people, this is a brand new thing. Maybe you worked from home every once in a while, but now we're really hunkering down, and a lot of people are going to have to work at home for the long term, either for weeks or months, depending on how this all plans out. So what does their hierarchy of needs look like during this stressful time? Well, we start off right down here at the bottom with workspace. So in Maslow's hierarchy, the very thing at the bottom is physiological needs: air, food, water, sleep, sex. These are the basic things that we need as a human being based on how we've evolved to really be able to function in our everyday area. Yes, sex is one of those things. People always laugh at that one, but it is true. Whether it's with yourself or someone else, what you got to do what you got to do, right? But listen, when we translate that over into an employee hierarchy, this very bottom baseline issue becomes workspace, with the space that people work in, the furniture they have, the supplies they have, the technology they have, the basic resources to do their job. Now, in most offices, this is all taken care of. In most offices, usually you don't have to worry about this one. Every once in a while, I would encounter places where, people had broken desks, or maybe they didn't have the technology they needed, or maybe the light above their desk gave them a headache, and so that was causing a lot of problems. Those basic workspace needs aren't met. But now that we're moving into this virtual environment, ooh, Nelly, a lot of people are not set up to work at home. They don't have a designated area for it. They don't maybe even have a desk. Maybe the computer they use at work is a desktop and it can't be moved home, and maybe their laptop isn't that good. Maybe they don't have the basic technology set up to be able to access the systems they were accessing at work. Maybe they don't have a photocopier or a printer, or, some places still use fax machines. I don't really understand why, but some places do, and most people don't have a fax machine set up in their home. So there are all sorts of issues that are going to pop up. And if you are a manager, if you are a leader of teams, this is the very first thing you want to take care of. This is the very first thing, making sure the people that are working from home have the workspace to do their job. So you might want to advise them around, creating a separate space in their home for their dedicated office. We should not be advising people to work while they're sitting on their couch or in their bed, because those are private areas, and we want to be helping our employees to really balance their work time and their private time. I know this seems counterintuitive, but people that work from home tend to have really crappy work-life balance. I know, it doesn't make sense. It seems like you have so much more flexibility working from home. You can even work in your PJs, it's fine. All those things are true. But it is also very easy to work long hours at home. It is very easy to get caught up in what you're doing. It is very easy to forget to eat. I forget to eat all the time, and I'm at home. So we have to help our employees to really understand how to create a space that is their dedicated workspace. Okay, that's going to be issue number one. Okay, and also the technology piece, making sure your employees have laptops that work, making sure that if they need to be on video to do Zoom and video chat, which is something you should all be doing, that they have a webcam that works, making sure that, they have printers that work. Things like that are all on the table for how the things that people are going to be thinking about, those basic necessities. Listen, even like office supplies, people don't usually have a supply room at home, so maybe sending them off with a gift card to go to Staples and get some office supplies so that they can do that, or even just raid the office supply cabinet before they leave to go home and work for the long term. Really make sure you're thinking about these things, because if these workspace needs are not met, we're not going to be able to get up to those higher level needs. So what comes after that? Security and stability. And this is the next thing that people are going to be concerned about, because the economy seems to be grinding to a halt. I don't think it's going to grind to a halt permanently. I think that we're just really in an adjustment period right now. We're kind of in, I think as a society, a little bit of a state of shock at what has gone on, and we're figuring it out. We're working it out. It's going to come around. It's going to be fine. But in the meantime, a lot of people are scared. They're scared for what this means for their job. They're scared for what this means for their ability to pay their mortgage. They're scared if the company is going to go under because they lose a lot of work and you're going to have mass layoffs. People are scared. If you want your people to show up and continue to work from home and continue to give you 110%, assuming they were giving you 110% in the first place, you are going to need to speak to these concerns. What is your company doing right now to help employees feel that their job is secure? These are conversations that you need to be having. Okay, what are you going to do right now? Because if they don't feel like their job is secure, if they don't feel like in the long term they're going to have that paycheck coming in, you are not going to be able to get them to perform at the level that you need them to. All right, so we've got our workspace taken care of. We've got our security and stability taken care of. Next, we get up to team camaraderie. Team camaraderie is really difficult to do when everyone's working in different places. This is when technology is going to become your absolute best friend. You want to make sure that you are still doing your team meetings, that you're still giving your employees a way to keep in touch with each other, to talk to each other. Maybe you're even using, Slack for different types of banter, or, you're doing fun stuff. I was just talking to someone, a manager the other day, who's like, Carlin, I'm doing a song of the day in Slack, and just so we can have those personal connections that we're going to be missing out on because we just won't be around each other all day. Make sure you are really modeling for the team what it means to take advantage of this technology and to use it well. Listen, Zoom is not a scary thing. A lot of people are scared when they haven't used it before, but once they figure out how to use it, Zoom is really easy. Skype is really easy. These things are not obstacles that should be a long-term thing to prevent your team from having these ongoing communications. Now, as a manager and as a leader, you also want to make sure that you are still providing routine for your team to be able to interact. So what does that mean? That means weekly team meetings. That also means, as a manager, as a leader, you want to keep doing your one-on-one meetings. Make sure you're sticking to them like clockwork. Now more than ever, those one-on-one meetings, making sure you are developing the trusting relationship with your employees, the people who report to you, these are going to become even more important. I have screamed and shouted and complained for years about managers who have not taken the aspect of managing human beings seriously. Okay, I really have. This has been something I have been beating the drum on this, and not just me, a lot of other people, but I have been beating the drum on this for years and years and years and years and years. If you as a leader do not take it seriously in this time period, that you have real human beings reporting to you who are under stress, who are concerned, who have very real and legitimate questions, if you aren't taking the time for those human interactions, I promise you, it is going to come back to bite you when all this is over. I just don't know how to say this any more seriously. How you treat your staff right now, how you make your staff feel right now, is going to have long-term ramifications when you are all back in the office. People will not forget this. This is going to be traumatic for a lot of people. It's not something that when it's all over, it's going to wash off the duck's back like, oh, I don't care that you continued to treat me like crap for months when I was working at home and scared of losing my job. People aren't going to forget this, folks. They aren't. So if you haven't had the time to do this before, now's the time. We're here. Get ready. And those of you who have already been doing the things that I tell managers to do in terms of building those human relationships with your people, you are going to be, oh my gosh, you are going to be thanking your lucky stars. It's going to be so much easier for you. It really is. And truly, I hope that you right now watching this are one of those people. All right, so we've got workspace, we've got security and stability, we've got team camaraderie. What comes next? Individual achievement. And you'll notice here that people cannot achieve their highest level of individual achievement without what? That team camaraderie piece, right? People cannot achieve their highest level of individual achievement without that team camaraderie piece. That's why that's so important, because if you want people to be showing up, meeting deadlines, being held accountable, doing their best work, having a high intrinsic motivation, having a high engagement, you have to build that team camaraderie piece first. Otherwise, that individual achievement is not going to show up. Now, if you're already there, if you're already at that level, This is a time for positive recognition and positive reinforcement like no other time you have seen. Because people are not going to be in the office every single day, they're going to need those guardrails. They're going to need to know and to have you be very, very clear about when they're doing well and really providing that positive feedback, that great job. Oh my gosh, this is so good. We couldn't do it without you. If you are uncomfortable giving positive feedback, now's the time to put on your big boy and girl pants and do it anyway. Do it anyway. Listen, we know statistically, and I'm talking to managers right now, right? I'm always a little bit harder on managers and leaders than I am on just the average individual contributor. We know statistically that managers, y'all suck at giving out positive feedback. You really do. You really, really do. What is it? It's like 20% of people, 20% have heard any positive feedback and recognition from their manager in the last 3 months. 20%. And if you extend the time period to 6 months, guess what? It only gets you up to 30%. So y'all suck at this. You're not really that good. Now is the time to start getting in the habit of giving out that beautiful, positive feedback, those compliments. This is something, listen, people don't need to accomplish huge, monumental tasks to get a compliment. They could even just deliver a document on time or, make sure they're tracking their things in the online project management tracking tool, or they're showing up to their meetings. They're showing up with a good attitude. All of these things are worthy of a compliment. That's what you should be doing. And if you thank your lucky stars and you do those 4 things, then you're going to get up to the engagement and innovation level. And you know what? I'm not even going to spend too much time on that, because you know how many teams, how many organizations are going to make it up to that level? Around about 2%. 2%. I know this because I have data on this from another area, right? And we'll talk about that data in the webinar. But if you are lucky enough to make it up to that top level, just know you are in the very top echelon of teams. Most leaders right now, most leaders need to start at the very bottom of this pyramid. Make sure you've got those workspace needs covered. Make sure that people feel secure and stable, that they're going to be taken care of by the organization. Make sure you're doing those things you need to do to really develop and enhance and continue to cultivate that team camaraderie, and making sure you're giving out all the positive recognition in the world and keeping a great attitude and just making people feel really good, bringing that beautiful, unapologetic optimism to work. These are the things that are going to help you get through this time period.